we've got some weeds coming up in the citrus. And if we don't get in to control them now, there is no controlling them. So I know the moment I say glyphosate, everyone's going to have an opinion about it. Everybody, Katie's just grabbing the bins off the truck. We're going to be picking the grapefruit today, finishing off this patch. We might have 40 or 50 bins or so here in these last couple of rows to finish up. It's been a really nice patch of ruby grapefruit we got off this block this year. Our biggest crop yet. I think we're going to go to nearly 400 bins off of 6 acres. There's no shortage of fruit on them, that's for sure. Nice big fruit too. Nice blush on them. We want to get this finished up so we can get through here and start pruning, because as you can see, these rows are pretty wild and woolly. Katie has got the truck half unloaded. As soon as she's got this unloaded, I'll jump in the truck and run back to the shed, grab another load of empty bins and bring it down, and she'll run these bins out in the rows. Alright, Katie's got us all unloaded. We'll go and fill back up again. I got the beanie on today. It's not overly cold. I just feel like crap. I wanted something to hug my head. I am, however, glad to see the end of these caracaras. Those small trees were an absolute pain to pick. It was hard going. We finished up the washies yesterday, and now we're just going through. We've got to pick a few ruby grapefruit to help fill the truck up. That's the last variety we've got until we start our late varieties. The late lanes will be next. We are getting through the citrus this year though. Get a bit of time over the next month or two to really get caught up and ready for planting veggies in spring. Alright, we're all full. Let's get them back down there. Katie's finished loading all the bins out. Now we'll head back up to the shed. The pickers have just turned up. They're down still cutting a few butternuts for tomorrow. The trees have just finished drying off, so they'll be up here in a minute to start picking. And I've got to go and get ready to go weediciding. Okay, we are setting up to go weediciding now. We've got this 1,000 litre weedicide tank on the M5. So this is the weedicide tank we use to control weeds in our citrus. So the main jets that we use for the citrus are the side jets. So there's one there and one there. They shoot out probably about 1.5 metres to 2 metres well in under the trees. This back one here we turn on when we're doing the citrus trees that are a bit more mature. We use this one when we blanket weedicide. We've been trying to keep the weeds down in the centres of the rows over the last few years. It saves an extra pass down the citrus with the slasher. We don't have to slash if we weedicide the centres of the rows as well. And because we only run drip irrigation in our citrus, we don't get any beneficial weeds or any beneficial grasses or anything like that coming up in the centres of the rows. It's usually weeds that we want to control. And in our younger citrus, we only spray under the trees. We let the weeds and the grasses grow in the wheel tracks. We do that to try and keep a bit of the ground together. Otherwise, that'd end up a dust bowl up there. On our back sand hill, we're having a lot of problems with exposed roots. And we can't grow anything up the centres of the rows because we're using drip irrigation. We don't have any low levels or overheads out there. So it's been a bit of a learning curve up there, but we're getting there. Just got the hose in the top here, filling up the weedicide tank. We're just using river water with this. It's an absolutely perfect morning for spraying. So we're out here just about to start weediciding these little caracara trees, or not the trees, we're about to start weediciding underneath the trees. We don't want to weedicide the trees. Anyway, we're out here in our M5 111 with our 1,000 litre weedicide tank on the back. We've got a bit of glyphosate in here to control the weeds and a bit of citric acid for a buffer for the pH. The delta T is perfect. There is absolutely no wind, and we've got some weeds coming up in the citrus. Now we might be a touch early out here, about to start spraying these, but if we don't get into them now, the weeds that are here would already be the size of the tree. So that's not what we want. We had a really hard time last season and in this picking season trying to control the weeds. The weeds in this patch last year were horrendous. We had a hell of a time trying to control them. It was more the summer weeds that were a problem. A lot of fat hen and a lot of grasses that we struggled to knock down. And we're a little bit late getting in here with the weedicide to make a start killing them off. So unfortunately they took over. So what the plan is this winter is to make sure we get in here like I'm doing now, nice and early. Even if it's a little bit too early, we can always come back through again. Chemicals cheap, right? But yeah, if we don't go through here now and knock down these ones, by the time we get back out here to spray them again, these weeds would have taken over and put us back to square one. So let's get into it. Just wanted to stop here and have a bit of a look and see how our coverage is going. The easiest way to tell is just to take a quick look at the dripper line. You can see there's plenty of moisture there. I haven't sprayed here yet. This dripper line's completely dry. I haven't sprayed here yet. This is dry, but back here you can see it's really wet. I don't really want to touch that. Our coverage looks great. We're getting well in underneath the trees and the spray tank seems to be working good. It doesn't need much on the weeds to knock them about. Only a couple of drops on a weed like this. Like you can see it's absolutely covered in weedicide, but it'll only take a couple of drops on that plant for it to knock it over. In a week's time we'll come back through here and hopefully all these weeds will be dead. You can clearly see I'm not using the center boom on the back of the weedicide tank by the dry spot in the wheel tracks. So in these rows we don't water the centers of the rows. We only irrigate underneath the tree with dripper line. The only irrigation that the centers of the rows are going to get is from rain, and we don't get a lot of that around here. So we don't have much of an option in this patch to grow a cover crop. We've got to rely on the rain to grow a cover crop up here. We've had bugger all of it, so there's no point weediciding it. The only weeds that are coming up are extremely tiny. If we need to control them on the next pass, we'll do it then. How are we going with our tank? I can see the sieve, so we're down a little way. Let's pull the sieve out. All right. So we've got about half a tank. We're spraying this out at about 200 litres a hectare. It's not crazy application rates, but it's enough to get the job done. So I know the moment I say glyphosate, everyone's going to have an opinion about it. And fair enough, it's controversial, but out here on farms like ours, honestly, it's the best of a bad bunch. Like, we're not spraying it on fruit, we're not spraying it on the trees, we're spraying it under the trees in a patch that's already been picked, so there's no fruit on the trees anyway. And the weeds that we're trying to control now, they're pretty small. They haven't gone to seed or anything like that, so they're going to be pretty easy to knock over. We're only going through at a pretty light rate here. And if we don't control them, it's going to grow up through the trees, it's going to scratch next year's fruit, it's going to harbour pests, and it'll make it a massive clean-up job next year if we don't control them. And unfortunately, the only feasible option we have to control weeds is with chemicals. And Roundup, or glyphosate, is the best, most effective option we have. Like, trust me, we've looked at other alternatives. We used to use spray seed for some of our stuff, which is almost infinitely worse than glyphosate. We've tried pine oil, which is an organic weedicide. It's not a systemic weedicide, it kills on impact, and it works if you get the timing perfectly, but it is expensive, very expensive to use. So out of the alternatives that we have tried, and others that we haven't tried that we've steered away from anyway, the reasons we haven't tried them are they either don't work as well, they're way too expensive, or they're just as, if not more toxic than what we're using now. And with the amount of trees that we have, chipping them or manual labour, controlling the weeds with manual labour isn't an option. we'd have to have a crew full-time running around chipping weeds. Isn't feasible, it's not effective, it's not efficient. Labour is already one of the most expensive parts of running a farm. We don't need to add to that. What we have to use right now in the form of herbicides, glyphosate is the best of a bad bunch. Now, we know glyphosate or Roundup, we know it's not perfect. There's still a lot we don't know when it comes to the long-term exposure effects of glyphosate, but as farmers we know these risks and we use it as carefully and responsibly as we possibly can. At the end of the day, this is food we're growing for the country, for the world. So we're not cutting corners. I eat this stuff too, all right? I don't mind going out and picking an orange off the tree. I don't want to be ingesting chemicals. Hey, if science comes up with another way to control weeds that's less toxic, less expensive and more efficient, I am all ears. I just grow shit. Everyone wants farming to be more sustainable, and don't get me wrong, so do we. But if they took away every chemical and every controversial thing that we as farmers need and use on a daily basis, there'd be no food. And this is the part that a lot of people don't see. This is one of the main reasons I'm doing this YouTube channel, is to bring awareness to the public and to the general population that this is what we do, this is how we do it, and these are the things we've got to do it with. Every time we make a decision to come through and do a job like this, we're weighing up the cost of it, the impact, the labour. When we get into summer veggies, you'll see how we control weeds in those mechanically, which is a little bit more sustainable, and it's a way that we prefer to do it, so we don't use any chemicals. When it comes to controlling weeds in the vegetable crops, we control weeds manually with the tractors. But for now, we are controlling weeds in citrus with Roundup. So these winter weeds, a lot of them are just thistles, and there's a little bit of winter grass coming up, which is weird. I haven't seen in this patch before. Now those types of weeds are going to cause a real issue later on down the track if we don't control them now, because they grow up through the tree, they scratch the fruit, they harbour bugs, they harbour disease. And if we don't get in to control them now, there is no controlling them. All right, we are empty. Heading back to the shed now to fill up for tank 2. That was horrible timing.
Why?
I'm empty.
I'll see you soon.
Thanks. The Delta T is perfect, so that'll hopefully give us a good strike rate with this weedicide working. So what Delta T is, hopefully I don't butcher this, so what Delta T is, and why it's important in spraying, especially with spraying a chemical like this. Essentially, it is a measurement of the rate of evaporation going off of the temperature versus humidity. Pretty much tells us how fast the evaporation rate is at any given time. The reason it's important with these chemicals, this chemical glyphosate needs to stay as a water droplet on the leaf for a certain amount of time for it to take effect on the plant. If the water droplet evaporates too quickly, the chemical doesn't work. That's why we check up on the Delta T whenever we're spraying to make sure that we're spraying in the right conditions. Okay, we're filling up for tank 2. Alright, we'll let that agitate on the way down to the patch. We'll keep going with our spraying. Okay, we're back down to the patch. Tank's all agitated. We've agitated the whole way down here, so it should be right to go. So we'll turn the jets on now, pressurise the system. So this is our little manifold setup we've got on this weedicide tank. So there's 3 taps on here. 2 of the taps go to the outside jets, and 1 of the taps leads back to this. And this is our agitator bypass. So that's agitating to the tank now. If I move this that way, it's going to pressurise this manifold and stop putting water back into the tank. But I can't do that until I've turned the hoses on, otherwise I'll start blowing hoses, I might overpressurize the pump. We don't want to do that. So what we'll do now is we'll turn these taps on, I'll hit this switch to stop it agitating, and then we'll jump in the tractor and keep going. So I've had to do this row again because this was the row I ran out on it, and I'm not exactly sure where exactly in the row I ran out because I was too busy talking to you guys and I wasn't paying attention to the job I was doing. So anyway, some of the weeds here got a double dose, which is better than the alternative of them getting no dose and growing up through my trees. That we don't want. So just to cover all the bases, I'll do this row one more time. There's the first weed I've seen that's up touching the trees already. If there's one, there's probably more. So I'm glad we're getting through this now. If we had been another week, some of these thistles would have been up in the canopy of the tree already. It's not what we want. That's bad potatoes. We don't even grow potatoes. So I completely forgot, today's just been rolling all into one. We started off the day sorting out orders for butternuts. We got the butternut orders out, all done, ready to go. We started picking ruby grapefruit as well to finish off the order for the truck. Ideally, we want to send 96 bins on the truck just to send the truck down full because we've got to pay for a full truckload regardless of if it's full or not. So we want to make sure the truck's as full as it can be when we send it. So we're topping the rest of the truck up with ruby grapefruit. And hopefully, with a bit of luck, we'll finish picking them today. Katie's running the picking today, so she's up there dealing with the pickers and on the forklift running the bins. She can use the hang char forklift up there. It's not quite as boggy as here. The trees have been there for a while. There's a lot of organic matter in the ground, so there's plenty of traction. I'm about halfway through this patch now. It's going to be a long day getting this done, I think. And then once we've got this weediciding done, we're coming up to starting pruning. So we'll be into some pruning soon, pruning some of the citrus. So yeah, anyway, we were helping Katie before. She's all right there by herself now. She's going to give me a call when she needs me. So hopefully we'll get through this tank before she gives us a call, and then we'll go give her a hand to finish off the rest of the day for picking. And that'll be the ruby grapefruit out of the way. Then we're completely done picking citrus until the late lanes start. And then we've probably got 300 or so bins of them to go, and then that's us done for winter citrus until our Valencias start, which are a summer juicing orange. And we've probably got 1,000 bins of them to get off. That'll be in November. So that's a while away yet. There's a fair bit to get done before we've even got to worry about that. By that stage, we'll have 200 acres of veggies planted. I suppose this is as good a time as any while I'm sitting in the tractor doing bugger all, driving up and down straight lines in between citrus rows, trying not to hit a tree. If there's anything you guys want to see, or if there's any questions you guys have, don't forget to chuck them down in the comments. I'm happy to talk about pretty much anything or answer any questions you guys might have. I'm not always 100% on the ball while I'm working. My mind's racing through 1,000 different things at a time, so sometimes I forget to mention things or explain what I'm doing properly. If there's anything you want to know or anything you want to ask, chuck a comment down below and we'll do our best. Also, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video, and if you want to see more of this style of content, subscribe to the channel. I don't know if you guys can tell out the windows, yeah, these trees over this side are a little bit bigger than the trees we're in over that side. They were planted at the same time, but the trees over this side are actually on a different rootstock to the trees over that side. If you know anything about rootstock, these caracaras are on citrange. I can't remember off the top of my head what citrange stock they're on, but these ones over here are on Troya. The other ones over there are on the more generic citrange. I can't think off the top of my head what it is at the moment. As soon as you say it, I'll know. These ones over this side are on Troya citrange, and they're, for some reason, a lot more vigorous. And they cropped a little bit better too than the trees over that side. They haven't been treated any differently. They're on the same irrigation. The ground over this side, a little bit more limestoney, which actually doesn't help this case at all. Citrus don't like limestoney ground. The ground over the other side, a lot more loamy, and I suppose it's probably a little bit more gutless as well. Yeah, the ground over there was virgin soil. This ground here had citrus on it a long time ago, but it sat dormant with a dead citrus patch in it for probably 20 years before we bought the property. And the other side had nothing in it. It was virgin ground. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's the reason. We're getting through it. Looks like we've got about 15 rows to go. And these are decently long rows. They're about 300 metre long rows. So yeah, we only just finished picking this patch earlier on this week. It took us two and a bit days to get across the whole patch. So many issues with the forklift, and we ended up having to use tractor and trailers and go back to the olden day times, how we used to do it. That was definitely hard going, especially for the pickers. So they were picking 4 rows at once. Hopefully we get some decent returns for them. It hasn't been good in the last few years, especially growing citrus and vegetables as well. I suppose it's like it in every branch of farming. We don't get to choose what the market and the prices are like. We don't get to dictate our own prices. We pretty much work for the packing sheds. We grow the fruit, we do everything we need to get it to the point where it can be sold. We send it off to the packing shed and hope and pray we get a decent price for it. And sometimes it's months later before we even know or see any money for what we've sent in. It's pretty hard being a family farm in 2025. We don't have an infinite pile of money we can draw from, and there's going to be less and less farmers if things keep going the way that they're going. Like, we're not just growing food, we're battling politics, policy, economics, climate, rising prices. Just to give an example, when I first bought my property in 2009, I was 19 years old. So this is 16 years ago, to buy a 20 litre drum of Roundup. I remember paying under $90 for 20 litres. And now you're paying up over $300 for that same 20 litre drum of Roundup, and we're still getting around about the same price for a bin of citrus as my dad did in the 80s, nearly 50 years ago. And probably on average 6 years out of 10 it just doesn't pencil out anymore. You're at the mercy of the packing sheds telling you what price you're going to get for your fruit months after you've already given it to them. In the meantime, you've got to outlay all these costs and keep the farm running and grow next year's crop. It's not like you can just go on holiday if it's a bad year. You've got permanent plantings in that you've got to look after. With citrus, whatever you do for citrus, you're doing for 2 to 3 years down the track. You're not doing for now. You're not doing for this year. So at all times, you've got to make sure you're keeping on top of things, and it's not easy. It's getting more and more difficult for family farms to stay afloat, and I'm not sure what's going to have to happen, but something's going to have to happen. Something's going to have to change. Otherwise, before long, there won't be any more farmers. Oh no, we're out again. We didn't make it across the patch with our second tank. That is highly unfortunate. 6 rows left to go. Anyway, I'll get back to the shed. I'll give Katie a call, see how she's going, see if she needs me. If she needs me, I'll be going to help her. If she doesn't need me, I'll fill up again and come and finish sorting this patch out. I'll have some left over in the tank, so I'll go and start on the other patch that we've finished picking. Just noticed I'm not the only one weediciding today. Got the neighbours out weediciding too. Okay, we're heading back out for tank number 3. It's getting later on in the day now. Hopefully we get this tank done before it's time to go. Got plans tonight. We're actually going out to my grandparents for dinner. They fly north every winter because they don't like the cold. Got to go and have dinner with them and see them off because they're heading off in the next couple of days. And then we won't get to see them for a few months. Okay, found our row we're up to. I was actually coming up this row the opposite direction when I finish the tank, so I'll just start from this end and work my way through the end of the row. I know where it ran out, but it started to splutter a bit before it ran out, so I'll have to do the whole row anyway. I'll go and turn the jets on and then I'll be back. So I haven't seen any stinging nettle yet. I don't have the additive in this tank to control stinging nettles, so I'm glad I haven't seen any stinging nettles. But a lot of these other broadleaf weeds are not going to last much longer out here, I'm sorry. And there goes Katie past in the truck. Issue we had over summer controlling the weeds, the grasses, the feather top, the fat hen. I'm glad they've decomposed to the point they have, but also we don't want to put ourselves in that position again and end up that far behind that we're just struggling to deal with weeds that could have been easily controlled at the right growth stage. Okay, we're heading down the last double row now. We've just got to come back the outside of this row and then we're done. For this patch anyway. Really didn't take us that long. I think we've probably been in here five and a half hours or so. Not too bad. Okay, that is this patch done. Hopefully in a few days, all the little weeds like those ones, and like those ones will be dead. Guys, that is going to do me for the day. I better pull up and start getting ready to go out for dinner. Otherwise I'll be dragging the chain and everyone will be waiting for me. Oh, thanks for coming along on our weediciding adventures. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to chuck a like down below. And if you enjoy this style of content and you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and we'll see you in the next one. Catch ya.